It's hot again today, but I got to get some work done here in the garden, and I wanted to give you a little bit of a garden update. Going to dig a few potatoes, got to put up our electric fence, and I have some personal things I want to share with you. Let's get started. Now I'm wanting to dig a few of these potatoes because they're pretty close to this last row of corn. These last few plants here don't seem to be quite as far along as some of those others. They're pretty much dead. This first row is an earlier season variety than the other two rows, so that's working out good. My rows were crooked on the corn. No, not crooked. I started at one end. Apparently my garden's not square, and so my rows on the corn didn't line up with the potatoes, so I'm just going to go down here to the end of this short row of corn. Maybe we can get enough potatoes to feed ourselves for a little while. We really have no idea what to expect this year. This is the first I've dug. What do you think, Mary? Are those very big, very nice? So far what I'm getting are just moderate sized. If you remember the planting video, that's the one where we had the 3 X's and we just kept making mistakes. We planted the potatoes way too close, and we kind of knew it, but we were having fun. Didn't really care. Kind of wanted to see how they would do in this better black soil. I didn't think this row did quite as well as these. It just never quite got the growth that these other rows got. Pretty small, pretty small. My dad always thought that the plants who died earliest would have the best potatoes under them. So far, I think I'm seeing that. Okay, that's enough potato digging for now. I just wanted to get it so I could run the fence in here without getting real close to the potatoes or the corn. And I think I've got it where I can do that now. I stepped it off here. I dug about 18 feet of potatoes and ended up with maybe a third of a bucket full. I'm not very impressed. You can kind of see the size in there, and maybe that'll help you to understand why I'm not so impressed. It takes a lot of potatoes that size to fill up a bucket. Digging potatoes when it's over 90 degrees is a lot of work for me. So maybe it's a good time for me to stop and, well, talk about some of the personal items I mentioned. I can't say how appreciative I am and Christy is for all the prayers and well wishes that you guys sent in the comments and in your private times over my dad's passing. It means an enormous amount. You know, it wasn't a negative time for our family at all. In fact, it was a celebration just like I predicted. We couldn't have the funeral at the funeral home because of the COVID rules, and as the thinking progressed, we realized that having the service right there in my dad's yard would be best. And wow, what a tribute. We really feel like it was the way Dad would have wanted it, even more so than to have a traditional funeral right there at the funeral home or in a church building even. And so we're really kind of thankful for how that worked out. A lot of people from the area turned out. You know, it was a special event. And again, thank you for your comments. Thank you for your prayers. We had 3 separate plantings of sweet corn this year. This first 6 rows we planted early in April. It got dry enough, it was warm, everything seemed fine. The corn came up, it was about, 2 to 3 inches high, and we got a severe freeze. It got down to maybe 26 degrees, 27 degrees. I think it actually froze 2 nights. It froze all of this corn. There wasn't a single green stalk out here. It was all brown, all the way from the ground level, every leaf was brown. It had maybe 2 or 3 leaves on it at that stage. Now this second planting looks great. Deep, rich green, consistent height. It's as tall or taller than I am. I'm pretty impressed with this. This is going to be good corn. This was planted late April, I believe, and maybe really early in May. I'm not really sure. I have to go back and look. But it didn't get affected by the freeze. So we've got 6 more rows here. We might be able to invite some friends over for this one. Okay, this is our third planting. This was way up in June. So I was going to plant, you know, a little bit more at a time, but I finally decided just to plant all of this the same day because it was getting fairly late. What do you think of it, Mary? Good shade to lay in, I guess. Now, on my left, your right, is the SV 9010 SA, and on this side is the other hybrid. Can't think of the name of it right now. It will be right down here. Notice it's taller than this. This is the super sweet. This is triple sweet, so it's not supposed to be quite as sweet. So we've got a comparison planted the same day. There will be some cross-pollination, we can't help that, but it'll be interesting to see how these compare, if we can tell the difference. We'll try to let you know on that. I'm pretty impressed with this crop. It looks dark green, it's even. Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of sweet corn. Now, while our sweet corn looks really good, we won't get a single ear if we don't put this electric fence up. The raccoons in the area can find it the day before it's ready, as we've already experienced on the first planting. I think they've got, looks like 5 or 6 ears already out of it. How many have I got? 0. Now I want to let you know that if you attempt to comment on this and you want to talk about those furry little ringtail creatures, and you use COON to identify them, that comment gets automatically deleted before I even see it by the politically correct cancel culture, whatever it is, of YouTube. So you must spell it out in the formal name. Apparently they think we're talking about people, I don't know, but we don't mean anything derogatory. It's just that's how we've always referred to the little ringtail creatures. So make sure you spell it out. And I can tell you that raccoons are very frustrating to me in sweet corn. But the electric fence that we do one just above grass level, just so that we can weed eat under the grass, and then we do another one about 6 inches higher than that. We don't have any problems. I think my kerplunker is a little bit lighter than some folks. How to get that name? Well, that's what neighbor Bob always called it, a kerplunker. I love that name, so that's what we call it. We don't often show the big tool rack on our channel. We don't use it as much as I think some of you folks would, mainly because we have the Gator. And you might think that's a negative for the big tool rack. I actually think it's sort of a positive. A lot of folks see this as too expensive of an item, but I got 2 reasons why you might want to reconsider that. You might not, I don't know. But one is it functions like a side-by-side. You can hook this onto your tractor. You've got the bed just like you do on a side-by-side. You can use this to haul your tools, haul anything you might need. We use all of our hand tools. We put all of our hand tools in the big tool rack. Even when it's in the shed, we know where the hand tools are. It's very handy to get out. So this is another point toward the price. Yeah, you can build yourself a little carrier, but there are some details on this that make it really handy. It's got its own set of caster wheels. It's quick hitch compatible. It's got a lot of storage. As you could see, we could probably use some more storage racks in here, and you can buy them. You can get extra accessory racks, almost every kind of rack imaginable to fit. You can get your big tool rack at bigtoolrack.com. Use code TTWT for 5% off. I went in and got a dry shirt and some shorts. I hate working in shorts. Get my legs all scuffed up and dirty. I hate working in shorts, but it's so hot today I just couldn't hardly stand it out here, so I had to do so. Got the posts all driven in, and I've got to put these insulators on. Previously we used to use wire, and we would just wire up some insulators that we had. It was very painful to use. We found these about 3 years ago. They're called LockJawz, and they'll just clamp right onto a T-post. Many different angles, right? You can take them, put them on, and then when you get ready to pry them off, you just pry right here on this corner, you know, and you can pry them right off like that. I've intentionally used these same LockJawz for 3 years. I wanted to see how they would hold up with the sun exposure for that long of a time. Now, we don't have them out all season. We bring them out here in June or July, and then they end up staying until it gets later and later and later in the fall because I'm too lazy to take them down. But here's a new one. okay, or one that's not been out in the sun, never been used. And here's the one that I've used for all 3 years. I wanted to use the same ones just to make sure that they're going to remain flimsy and nice and have that spring that they have when they're new, and so far they have. You can get these at LockJawz.com, LockJawz.com. Use code TTWT, you'll get a 10% discount. Look, I know there's not a huge market for these things in our application, but I must tell you they work and they work well, and that's why I'm showing them. This was such a difficult job before we've had these things. We hand wire up all this stuff, and Christy just hated it. These things make it trivial, so check them out. I used to use just steel wire, but I found that this braided stuff with a little bit of steel and a lot of nylon, it's easier to string along. It's not as stiff, and it seems to work just as well. I think this is a bunch of black nightshade that I pulled out today. That stuff grows fast. These posts here are quicker to work with, and I just use them kind of in the center to make sure that the wire doesn't get away from it. So I use those little black posts. I can put them down with my feet. I don't have to drive them in with the post driver. To go around these things, there's just a little lip that you slide it under or over, depending on which way you installed it, and off you go. The logic behind an electric fence is really pretty simple. You hook up one side of your fence charger to the fence and the other side of the fence charger to a ground rod. The side that's connected to the fence, you just run that wire all the way around, however long you want to run it. Just don't let it touch anything ground. Don't let it touch the steel post. I had to stick an extra LockJawz in there to protect that. Don't let it touch the ground. Don't let it touch anything steel that goes to ground. And then when someone hits it, hopefully not me, that makes a circuit. That completes the circuit between the ground and the wire, and you'll get a little jolt. Now the little pulsing light here shows every time that the fence actually sends a charge through the wire. It doesn't send a consistent charge, it just pulses every second or so. Maybe a little more often than that. This is a solar charger. I should have added out here a couple days ago so that it would be fully charged, because the little red light's not flashing very bright. But hopefully it'll be good enough for tonight and keep those raccoons out. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed watching this. Again, we thank you for your prayers, and just thank you for the positive comments. Well, and just in general, the support that you've given us over the years. It's amazing, and it's what makes this all worthwhile for us. So thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on Tractor Time with Tim.